not having the wedding garment is not the same thing as what's going to happen someday in September. There's always that one person who didn't quite get the email about the red out, and so they're there in like their whole uniform, and everybody else in the entire classroom is wearing red t-shirts and stuff like that. It's not something like that. The wedding garment was provided as you walked through the door to show that you were part of the family. Whoever was hosting, the king in this case, would give you a scarf or something to wear, a little tunic, to show that you are part of the family. And then everyone, of course, will be wearing that throughout the whole feast. So then to take it off, to throw it away, to not be wearing it, is a sign of you don't actually want to belong. And that's the problem. There's people in this gospel who are refusing the invitation. There's people who don't want to be a part of the family in the moment of the big celebration on the wedding. And those who refuse the invitation, some go off, they go off to do my stuff. I've got my farm to attend to. I've got my business to take care of. I've got things I have to do. In other accounts on this gospel, somebody says, hey, I just bought some new cows, or I just bought a new car, and I'm going to test it out. And they put those things over the invitation to be with the king who wants them to be there, to be part of the family for the wedding. We have things to do. And that's always the temptation, to put those things above being with God and being with others. That's how our life goes. In the first reading, we see two types of hearts. The stony hearts, or the hearts like a rock, and the heart of flesh. Stephen Colbert once was trying to describe what a thing was, and he said, well, a thing is like the thing from the Fantastic Four, and therefore we'll just use a rock as an example. A heart that's stony, a heart that's a rock, goes after things, the things to do. And it puts them also above loving others and loving God. And God in the first reading is saying, I want to change your hearts so you can love again. Because you're so focused on the stuff to do that you're not able to be with the people that you were there for in the first place. You're not able to love or be with me. So I got a shock kind of this morning when I started counting things up. I'm hoping that I'll be able to celebrate Mass for you on September the 6th. And because next Thursday I have the middle school boys retreat, and then after that is the high school boys retreat, and then I head out. So this is my second to last Mass with you all, or maybe it's my last. I don't know. We'll figure that out. And as I look back, you see the things I'm grateful for and the things I regret. And all the things I regret have to do with that heart of stone. I regret everything, every single thing that was ever getting in the way of serving others and being with others. Every single thing that got in the way of being with God. I don't regret the things that I did for others, or the things that helped me to be with others or with God. But if they got in the way of going out to meet someone, I do regret them. And I'm grateful on the other side, on the side of the heart of flesh. I'm grateful for each person I was able to spend time with. And I'm grateful for every moment I spent with God. Time in adoration and prayer. I wouldn't give those up as I look back on my time. So yeah, there were things that I had to do, but if they ever got in the way, if I ever made them priority over people, I was wrong, and I regret that. As I've been, heading out and people say, oh, thank you for this or that, or I've seen this or that, the other thing went well, I've been kind of congratulated on the missions, which is really congratulations to all of you, because the missions have really they've grown, and the amount of desire and love for serving others has really grown in this high school, and I've been privileged to watch that. I'm glad that we had them as projects, but I'm much more glad, to have been with you all when you did the missions, to have worked with you, to have dug holes, built kitchens, served people, tended the sick, fed the homeless. That's what I'm glad of. And deeper than that, I'm glad of the time of friendships. Maybe especially the missions in Nicaragua or in Holy Week, kind of the hangout times afterwards when, having lived and worked together, we could just spend time and talk and be with each other. The friendships there. People have said that the homilies have been okay, the formation classes, well, most of the time, and advisory went well most of the time. But again, those are things. I instead consider I'm privileged to have worked. No, to have been with you and to have seen how people have walked and grown. And to witness that is amazing. It's a grace that oftentimes we can forget. I see the seniors, and I remember I had you all in 8th grade. And I remember what you were like and how far you've come since then. And that's a privilege. It's a joy. There's also masses and confessions and communion services. But the greatest privilege is to see Christ in souls and to see that growth. The greatest privilege is to be with people, not to have done stuff or have a list of things that might go if I had a resume, if I cared about that. And so, regretting anything of the heart of stones, the time I was too busy or whatever, and being privileged for the heart of flesh, for the time when I was able to be with and care for you all, I wanted to end kind of the second point. First point was the reading. Second point was looking back and let you all know that each one of you, I respect you, I care for you, and you're worth it. You're worth the time I was here. I remember the t-shirt I made that said, "You are worth it," where the T was made by the crucifix. I'm glad to have been here. He's glad to have been with you. And I hope the same thing for you, because that tension and that struggle between the stuff we have to do and the stuff we want to do and the people we're called to be with is in every human heart. You know, that reading from 2,000 years ago is valid today too. You know, there's stuff to do. Grades, sports, clubs, musical, missions perhaps, social media, likes, games to play, chores, all of that. All of that is great if it's stuff for others, to serve others, if it's stuff to be with God. But all of that is, if it's just stuff to do that gets in the way of your time with others, I just promise you, if I regret those things, you'll regret those things too, if they're over the top of being with others. There was an author who said that he didn't know someone. He didn't know if someone was his friend because he hadn't had the time to spend with that man in silence yet. He didn't know somebody until he'd been with that person in silence. And a lot of times you don't know a true friend. If you're always doing things, you don't know. But that moment where you both sit and watch, or after you've done something, and you can just kind of nod and be there in silence. When you're not doing anything, that's when you can find out who your friends can really be. Same thing about love, be that in family or romance. A lot of times, yes, there's moments of talking and sharing and hugs and whatever else. But the time when you can actually sit down and just share the moment in silence together, that's when it's gone deep. That's when it's no longer about the stuff to do, the heart of stone, but the heart of flesh, where you're able to be with others. So, again, I hope that you can study, yes, to make your parents proud, to challenge yourself and lift up your friends as well, to make your teachers feel accomplished. And I hope that living for others, the heart of flesh, is more than the heart of stone of getting grades and a GPA and a number. You're not your score. You're not your GPA. I hope that you play sports and are part of clubs and musicals and games, to be with others, to share wins and losses with your friends, more than just having a success ratio or sharing points or yards or whatever the distance is. I hope that you can go on missions this year to be with God, to be serving others, much more than just plugging up or putting one more thing on your resume. Again, a thing. And I hope that you can play and post and follow others on your tablets or phones or laptops or whatever it is you use. But you're doing that, if you're doing that, I hope you do it to be with others. And I hope you do it to connect, rather than just to rate yourself on the status a game gives you or the likes or followings that whatever post you put up is. You're much more than the number of scores or reactions or likes that you get. You're so much more than that. Never rate yourself on that. And so, for that heart of flesh, we also remember going back to the first reading, or going back to the gospel, that's not about the worthiness. God invites the good and bad, the poor and the rich, anybody who's on the street, all of us. We're all invited to the wedding. We're all invited to be part of his family. We just have to say yes. You could translate that last line differently and say, many are called, but few choose to come. Few choose to respond. And maybe it's because only God can give us a heart of flesh. If you're struggling to get there, yeah, we're all going to struggle to get there. to stop and leave the things that make us feel accomplished and make us feel sure in our identity and go towards the people and the relationships that really matter? Perhaps only grace can do that. Only God can transform a heart that's hardened into a heart of flesh. But let's ask him for that, because only there can be happiness. The other way is only regrets. All of us, myself included, we drift backwards to a heart of stone, to getting stuck on doing and being accomplished and having accomplishments. And so the same way as I was ending, I'll also end it for you. That who God says you are and invites you to be, that invitation that not everyone responds to, is to be with him, to be part of his family, to be loved by him. And to not worry so much or not be anxious about doing stuff, getting more, getting accomplishments or respect, but to already know that he cares for you, he respects you, and you are worth it. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.